Thank you, and thank you, Dan, for inviting me. Dan's work appears in this book, it appeared in my last book. He's a real visionary, and I want to say what I mentioned in the book was his work with Austin Polytechnic Academy. When I first started exploring the green economy, one of my big concerns was that we were leading with workforce development rather than the broader policy and jobs agenda. And my fear was that the focus would be too much on short-term job training. And I think that is what's happened. And I think what's really great about Austin Polytechnic High School is it's got an option if you want to work in manufacturing, but also creating the next generation of engineers that we really need if we're going to lead in a green economy. But today I'm here to talk about the book more generally, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how the book got started, because this is not the book I intended to write when I started. I wanted to explore what I saw in the books about sustainability. They were of the gee whiz, isn't this great kind of thing, but not much about how do you get there, how do you build the kind of sustainability policy, how do you move that into the climate change agenda in cities. And so I did a sabbatical in Europe looking at many European cities that were leaders. And again, what I thought I was going to do was examine how their planning process created their sustainability. And the idea for the book actually came in Freiburg, Germany, in the southwest corner, and it's probably among the top sustainable. I think they just won another award this year for their sustainability and climate change efforts. But what's interesting about it is they have taken it so seriously, and their whole downtown area, the whole old city, there's no cars allowed. So they've had to really build out their public transportation system. They rely a lot on bikes. These are not very clear images here, but you get a sense of the trolleys coming through all the time. This is what a typical train station looks like, just thousands of bikes parked there because so many people really are using bicycles as transportation. Part of what I came to see was a whole area of the city, a brownfield site that has been redeveloped into an eco-community, Vauban. And this community followed every principle of development. What you see here is the system so that rainwater doesn't go through the sewer system. You can see a street. You can pull your car in and drop off your grandmother or your groceries, but you can't park there. And if you want to have a car, you can use the parking garage outside of the neighborhood and you will pay dearly for it. If you don't want to have a car, you get a free pass for the trolley. So they've used carrots and sticks to get people to adapt to a car-free kind of lifestyle. The other thing that's quite distinctive about this is that 95% of the power in the neighborhood is produced on-site from renewable sources. And those include solar, biofuel, and you can see the huge solar panels. So as we're driving around, it was too long a tour to bike. My guide started telling me about all the different solar panels and showing me different buildings. This is within the Vauban community, the child care center, and different passive solar elements on some of the buildings. And then he told me about the policies that they had put in place, something called a feed-in tariff, which you might have heard of. And this is where you say to the utilities, you have to buy every bit of renewable energy that is produced. And not only do you have to buy it, you have to buy it at a set price. And what it does is create a stable investment environment. When you have a technology that's not quite competitive on the market, that allows for the research and development to occur to get to that point without having to worry that there won't be a market. And what the city did then was help create local companies to produce the solar panels in this case, and then put them on every building in the city. The stadium, the train station, City Hall, every public building, school has solar panels produced locally. And what was interesting about it is I had known about these policies in Germany. What I didn't know is that they started out in the cities. It was the cities, Aachen, Freiburg, that had the feed-in tariffs and the other policies, and eventually the federal government saw what was going on and replicated this just various views of solar fabric, which is a very highly successful international business in Freiburg. But they replicated those policies at the national level. And as a result of them, starting in 2002 up until 2007, Germany was the leading exporter of solar and wind technology by taking over these policies. So in Freiburg, it just seemed quite natural to him that, of course, our sustainability policy is linked to an economic development strategy. And I got very excited, and I wanted to come back to the United States and look at what I thought would be emerald cities, look at the cities in the United States that were leaders in sustainability, and look how they would move to link that sustainability agenda to economic development. So I want to talk a little bit about the framework I developed for doing this study. First of all, I defined the sectors. Well, what are the sectors of the green economy I would be looking at? And the ones I chose were renewable energy, green building and energy efficiency, recycling and waste-to-energy, and transportation. And then I wanted to define what I would be looking for, what kind of strategies. So the first were linking strategies, which was just simply making some kind of connection to something we're doing on the sustainability front, to workforce development, to something that relates to jobs. The second thing was transformational strategies, those trying to take a traditional industry and transform it into a green industry. And the third one was leapfrogging, trying to build an entirely new green sector. And from that, I found a number of programs throughout the country in all of these areas. And this book, I guess, was full of surprises for me, because one of them was, the concept of emerald cities to me was over and above kind of green or sustainable. And I thought I would be finding the cities doing most on sustainability and then look at their economic development. But many of the cities that you see here aren't really what you call leading cities in green. You don't think of Pittsburgh or Syracuse or even Los Angeles as a green city. And what I found is that many of the cities that couldn't afford to be thinking about parks and bike trails and green routes were places with very high unemployment and really looking to create jobs. So, given that, if I were to ask what city in the United States has the largest thin film solar production facility, what would you say?